After raining yesterday, today is a beautiful day. And Jeff is taking me to see somebody. You can see all the way down. There's nothing on the ground. So can you tell me a little who this person is?
Oh, there's two people.
Yes.
Ben and his wife, Ruth. And they're caring people. They care about things. So
for example,
well,
what do you do for?
Every day, or nearly every day, they walk around Warburton and they pick up rubbish.
Every morning?
Just about every morning, especially after the weekend. And they've been doing it for years and years and years. And Ben's had some major health problems with his hips and that, but now he's back in action. So you'll meet him shortly, and his wife. And Ruth is she's a poet. She loves reading poetry, telling stories, and you'll hear one short story. But wonderful people, and because of their setting the example of taking care and picking up rubbish and picking up bottles and plastic bags and so on, everybody else is starting to do it. So now they don't have that much work to do because everybody is helping them. So it's wonderful.
I heard this man was a minister or something?
Yes, yes. Used to be, former minister.
So retired?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Exciting. I hardly find any garbage on the road. So what can they do? See? Do you see anything? Oh, okay, I saw something. Here we go. There's something.
Yes, Ruth. Yes, she's a great lover of Australian traditional poets, and she'll recite a poem by, say, Lawson or Patterson, written, maybe 100 years ago. So she's a great lover of tradition.
It's absolutely clean. Hello. Yeah.
Bruce.
Oh, Bruce. Nice to meet you. Yes,
Pleased to meet you.
Yeah. I heard so much about you from Jeff. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
This is my husband coming.
Okay.
He had a hip replacement in July. So he's still walking fairly slowly.
Ruth is asked to do 2 poems, so I said, I'm sure we can...
2 little ones. They're from the same author.
She might do a contemporary poem, I don't know, So
it's up to her.
Yes, she might surprise us.
But they're very different.
Okay.
A lot of his poetry, he wrote about people, well, he made up the characters, but they were characters who were poorly educated, spoke terrible Australian slang. The poems are very, very funny, but he could also write beautiful poetry because he was well educated. So I'd like to do 2 short poems that show just how versatile he was.
Great. Okay, here comes.
Yes, CJ.
Hello, my name is Daniel.
This is Ben.
Okay, nice to meet you, sir.
Yes. So we just follow behind them, do you think?
Yes, that's
no
fine.
Rubbish, though.
Yeah, that's not much to do.
On the street here.
Yeah.
I picked up a few cigarette butts and that was it.
Yeah.
It's on the river track and then we go back.
We'll see.
Okay.
So which way you want to go?
We'll go down through Yarra
Go down
Park.
through the park.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then on to the...
Do you just want to follow? And
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Onto the...
Nice to meet you.
Pleased to meet you too.
Yes. It's nice talk.
filming the crew.
Okay, sorry, I'm in the way.
No. You're part of it. You're part of the life and part of the world. Yes.
Oh, yes.
can't go far in Warburton without finding someone you know to talk to. Or even someone you don't know to talk to.
Yeah. There's something good about a small place.
Yeah,
I met Daniel 30 years ago on a train going to Melbourne.
wow.
And I was going to the market and he was going into Melbourne and the train had stopped and some young people on the train said, "What's in that black case there you've got?" So I opened up and he started to play. He's a virtuoso.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, this is beautiful. So I went up to him and said, "My name's Jeff, would you like to play in Warburton, a concert I'm putting on?" He said, "Yes, I would." Wow. So he came and then he played a few other gigs in Warburton 30 years ago.
30 years ago.
And then he disappeared.
And you're coming
And
back
then
to
he's
play
come
some
back.
more? You're here for, you're going to play some more?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's up to Jeff, yes.
Boy.
So, and he also, and after I met him, he became a violin maker of renown
Wow.
in Norway, and then he went to Japan 20 years, repairing, making bows, making strings,
Wow.
Yes.
and he's returned just the other day.
Wow. How long are you here for? I hope for a while.
Just for a few days. A few days.
Oh,
Yes.
About 10 altogether.
Yeah.
Oh dear, that's unfortunate. We'd like to. Yeah.
Beautiful dog.
Yes, it is a nice dog.
Nice dog. Yeah.
Yeah, probably likes it best underneath. If you tickle him underneath, yeah,
Lovely.
you sort of express a bit of fear if you go on top.
Yes.
Yeah, well, unsure, I should say. Yeah. Oh dear.
Anyway, we've got to keep track of these
two.
rappers, yeah.
Yeah, these young people, they're
That's right.
out there working away. And nice to meet you, Daniel.
Thank you.
Enjoy
Nice to
your
meet you.
time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you might be on YouTube, David, so
Oh, right. Oh, help.
wrong shirt, isn't it?
Yeah, fine. We had a vigil down at Turnside Park last night for the Rural Australians Refugees Group. And the first people that came up to us, would you believe, were refugees who come by boat in 2010. Who were the people on support who were available? Yeah. The whole thing is such a shame that we hold a discussion. How's the old hippie going, mate? Going well now?
We live in the beautiful Yarra Valley, and it was once home to one of Australia's most famous poets, a man who was known as C.J. Dennis. He hated his first name, Clarence, and he lived about an hour's drive from here at a beautiful place called Talangi. During his lifetime he wrote over 5,000 poems. Some of them were written for the Melbourne newspapers. One which really took my fancy is one that's called Tall Timber. He read an article in a Tasmanian newspaper about a man who had a wooden leg, who was bitten on that wooden leg by a snake. So the next morning this poem, Tall Timber, appeared in the Melbourne newspaper. "That sort of reminds me of the old days," said Bill, "in the bush at Talangi at Switherton's mill. 'Twas a sawmill, of course, and the sawyer we had was old Oppie McClintock, a wooden-legged lad. He was walking one day for to tighten a peg, when a tiger snake grabbed at his old wooden leg, and there it hung on, till I fetched it a crack. But Oppie just grinned and he starts to walk back. Then we seen something happen. We saw Oppie stop, and he stumbles a bit and looks down at his prop with a dead funny look. Then he lets out a yell. 'Here, boys, take it off me, it's starting to swell.' Well, we unstraps his leg, and it swole and it swole. In snake poison, too right. 'Twas a 20-foot pole in less than 5 minutes. Believe it or not, and as thick. It's as true as I stand on this spot. We was even it off when the boss starts to roar. "Here, boys, why waste good wood? Put it onto the saw." So we saws it in two down the middle, and then them there slabs swole and swole. So we saws 'em again, and we saws, and they swole and they swole, till the end of the day, when the tally was told 'twas 2,000 foot super. "You doubt it?" said Bill. "Ask any old hand up at Switherton's mill." Tall Timber by C.J. Dennis. Now, some people who've read some of the numerous books that he wrote about inner city young, shall we call them louts, think that that's the way C.J. Dennis spoke and that he was uneducated. This next poem, called Dusk, shows just how well educated he was and how beautifully he could write poetry. And while it was describing Tulangi, it fits perfectly in with the evenings that we enjoy here in Warburton. It's called Dusk. Now is the healing quiet hour that fills this gay green world with peace and grateful rest, where lately over opalescent hills the blood of slain day reddens all the west. Now comes at night's behest a glow that over all the forest spills, as with the gold of promised daffodils. Of all hours, this is best. It is the time for thoughts of holy things, of half-forgotten friends and one's own folk. O'er all, the garden-scented sweetness clings and mingles with the wood fire's drifting smoke. A bullfrog's startled croak sounds from the gully where the last bird sings his laggard vesper hymn on folded wings, and night sends forth her cloak. Keeping their vigil where the great range yearns, like rigid sentries stand the wise old gums. On lumbering wings a night moth wheels and turns and lumbers on, mixing its drowsy hums with that far distant roll of drums, where the swift creek goes tumbling midst the ferns. And as the first star in the zenith burns, the dear soft darkness comes. Dusk by C.J. Dennis.
Thank you so much. So nice. Thank you.
I can do ours if you don't want ours.
Thank you.
The first of his poems I read, I was in my last year at primary school, and we just had what was called a reader. There were no libraries in the schools in those days, and this poem was called The Play. And one of C.J. Dennis's most famous characters, called Bill, took his girlfriend to see Romeo and Juliet by Shakespeare. And then he comes back and recounts it to his friends in terrible Australian slang. And it's, he talks about this balmy goat called Romeo. It was very disrespectful, but very funny.
Thanks. Yes. Yes.
Seeing there's the two of us,
Yes.
we normally split up.
Uh-huh.
So I'll do this here, and Ruth will go down to the track along the river.
Uh-huh.
She'll go down and do the track on the river.
Is that all right for you, or is it easier if we stay together?
No, it's okay. It's okay. No problem.
No
This is yeah.
Yeah,
So how is the retired life here?
Oh, Warburton's a lovely place.
But you're not from here originally, no?
No.
Okay.
I grew up in Western Queensland,
Uh-huh.
and Ruth grew up in Brisbane.
Brisbane. Okay.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
but it's been a long journey to here.
So how long have you been here?
13.
13
and a
years.
half.
Oh,
13 and a
okay.
half years.
Okay.
How long have you been doing this morning, Bill?
We're in our 12th year.
12 years doing the same thing. It's good for health, eh? It's like
It's
a
good for
walking.
health, and,
Yes, it's good for the environment. Yes.
When we came, we could almost fill one of these bags each. There was just so much litter, and it really upset us that this beautiful environment was being spoilt by people dropping their picnic stuff, their ice cream wrappers, cigarette butts, tissues, name it. We've found just about everything. Even this morning, outside our theatre on the footpath, we found a very old dog's bone.
Oh yeah, I saw it.
You saw that?
I saw that. Yes, I filmed that.
It's in my bag now.
That's the proof.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that. Yes, because I was trying to look for something, I couldn't find. I said, okay, I found something here.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Well,
you put it
we've
there?
never found a. That's the first time we've found a bone.
Oh, yeah.
See, a lot of us carry plastic bags in our pockets now. So
Yeah.
Yes.
What's that?
a lot of people, we just carry a plastic bag so we can pick up rubbish and pop those in there.
Yeah.
A lot of people do that now.
Oh yeah, okay.
We're picking up
Because-
80% less rubbish, and the town is very clean. And people,
Yeah, it's good to set up an example.
Yes.
Yes. The world should learn from this. Yeah.
even, it's not just the adults, but even the young people, around around the skate park that they've got up the back, and the bus shelters where they, get to go to school up on the bus. Once there was lots of rubbish. Now
No.
you can go 4 or 5 days without picking up one piece. So it's been good.
Yes, that's nice. Yes.
Here comes the mower.
Yes. Can't win, can you?
We do this for a number of reasons.
Yes.
One is we believe that every member of the community should have something that they do for the benefit of the community. Then we're greenies, so we believe that we should look after the environment. Third reason, we're Christians, and God told Adam and Eve, put Adam and Eve in the garden, and he said, look after it. And so we're just looking after it. That's,
So's he.
Yeah.
yeah.
Very noisily.
They might come and clean us up.
It's going. It's okay.
Yes. So if you
yes.
give people a good example, people will follow it.
Yes. Good.
At first, I used to like to get out very early in the morning when no one was around because I felt a bit self-conscious about picking up rubbish and.
Yeah.
But people's response has been so positive. I don't care what time of day I do it. We've had people stop their cars and call out, "Thank you very much, you're doing a great job." When we first started, a lot of people said, "You shouldn't be doing this, the Shire should be doing this." Well, we've got a huge Shire with lots of small townships, and if the Shire was paying people the number of hours we put in, they wouldn't have much money left over for other things. And then I remembered a story that once again it was in one of these school readers back in about grade 4, and it was called The Stone in the Road. And these people somewhere in Central Europe were living very happily in their little village until one day this big stone appeared in the middle of their roadway. People fell over it, carts got their wheels hooked on it and broken, and everyone grumbled about it and said somebody should do something about it, but nobody did. One day the king arrived in his chariot. He got out, and with his footmen they removed the stone, and underneath was a casket full of gold and gems with a note that said, "This is for whosoever removes the stone." And that story is the only one I remember from that year. It made such an impression that here was something that any two men in the village could have fixed, yet nobody did. Weeks and weeks went by and nothing was done about it. And I thought, well, there's all this rubbish around the streets and our beautiful river. We can do something about it. So we did.
So you are doing.
The most unusual thing we've picked up One, we picked up a used pregnancy testing kit, but the most unusual thing was behind the seat in one of the bus shelters. I noticed something pink, so I pulled it out, and it was a full-size, blown-up pink sex toy. It was unused, so we don't know. People will throw away anything, absolutely anything, except money, of course. We don't collect much of that.
Do you find any money?
Very occasionally.
Yeah, 20 cents.
20 cents here,
I
yeah.
remember
50 cents here.
Right, one time, and I've always picked up rubbish before you guys, but you know, you've really inspired me further. But I remember up near my studio, Daniel, I bent down to pick up what I thought was paper, picked it up, and this was the days of the $1 note and the $2 note, and I picked it, I thought it was rubbish, and $1 and $2 note. So, oh, thank you very much. That was my payment,
Yeah,
my reward.
well deserved. You've been here a long time then, Jeff. If you remember, you were here for the $1 and $2.
Oh, way before that.
Yeah, 40 years ago.
Good. Well, we
Thank
better
you guys.
keep
Thank
up,
you.
keep on the job.
Yes, thanks.
Yep.
Do it for
Thank
another
you.
100 years, please.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Hope I come. I met Jeff 30 years ago,
Yes.
so we have not been seeing each other for 30 years. After another 30 years, hope this year again we'll meet again here. Okay.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And you're from somewhere in Asia?
Yes, I original from China, but I'm
Ah,
Norwegian citizen living in Japan.
wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yes. We had the pleasure of going to China last year. It was our 50th wedding anniversary,
Wow.
and we have a wonderful Australian friend who was Chinese born, and she now works for an international company based in America, and she goes regularly to China. So we did a 14-day tour, and then we spent a week with her in Chengdu,
Chengdu. Okay.
which was the best part of the trip, because we travelled on public transport, and you know,
Yeah.
it was very impressive. Something we thought we'd never do, you know, see the Great Wall or
That's very nice to
whatever.
hear that. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was very clean.
Yeah. Wow. That's unusual.
We always notice rubbish.
Especially
but
after you left, it was
Thank
very
you so much.
Thank
sir.
you.
Very
Okay.
nice to meet you.
Have a good
Yes.
trip
Yeah.
around.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
Enjoy the rest of your time in Warburton.
Thank you so much. I will. Okay. Okay.
all right. So if I don't see you before, I'll see you on the 17th.
Yes, yes.
Be good.
I'll try and get something new learned by then.
Have you done the?